It finally leaked the Rams' new offensive playbook on how to be successful for the 2025 season, involving two key players who've been standing out at practice as training camp comes to a close today for the Los Angeles Rams. And welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we get into today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as we are now less than 20 subscribers away from 4,000 subscribers. So make sure to hit that button so we can hit our goal, and click your notification bell, turn it to all so you get notified and do not miss all of our daily new Rams Digest uploads covering all things Rams. And leave a like on this video right now for training camp coming to a close, and now we go into official joint practice and the final workouts of what is considered preseason before we start actual regular season considered workouts. The Rams held their last open practice today at Loyola Marymount ahead of their joint practice with the Cowboys on Tuesday, and ahead of their first preseason game coming up next week. And there have been some key standout players to end practice this week, and one of those being Blake Corum being a key to this playbook. And this story is from Rams Wire, which we will get into right now. And the main thing here is that Blake Corum was getting some serious work today in the return game, and Corum seems to be getting a look on special teams, potentially returning kicks and punts this season. Now, this is something that was not really expected heading into camp, mainly because you have Xavier Smith, who was the main return man last year, and we have Jordan Whittington, who was a guy who did some return work as well ahead of Corum last year. And they brought in Britton Covey to be a competitor to Xavier Smith. Now, what does this mean that Blake Corum is getting these reps? This all could just be for depth purposes, that if one of those guys, Smith or Covey, who ends up making the team gets hurt, you have another guy in there who has the reps and is able to return kicks. And if that's the case, I'm all for it. That doesn't hurt Blake Corum to get these reps whatsoever, and only helps round out his game. Or this means that the competition between Xavier Smith and Britton Covey is not really going as planned, that both of those guys have been a little bit disappointing it so far in this preseason. I do believe we will see all three of those guys get some good work in on Sunday, whether it be Smith, Covey, or Blake Corum. All those guys are going to get solid work. But just to give you some context here, I did look this up. These stats are according to ESPN. Blake Corum did have 186 total kick return yards in 2024, all of them on kickoffs in 7 return kicks, as long as 41 yards, and he averaged around 26.5 yards per return. So all decent numbers for Corum in the return game. But if you can have guys during the game, like you can flip-flop returners, because you can do that during the game, you can flip-flop returners, that can really leave defenses on their toes, not really knowing who's going to come next from this Rams team in terms of returning kicks. And that's definitely something that can be used to trick defenses, and I'm all for that. So comment down below what you think this means for the Rams and Blake Corum. Is this also because Blake Corum won't be seeing a lot of carries because they're so committed to Kyren and extending him? Or does this mean Blake Corum is going to even have a more expanded role besides just running the ball? Leave that down below in the comments. Now, Blake Corum also broke off a long touchdown run today from his natural running back position, and Corum has had quite the camp, and he ripped off another big play on Sunday. Yeah, that has been something to note, that Corum has had a lot of big plays as training camp has gone on. That Corum has been another sort of star of camp, which is good, because we've seen Kyren kind of been dropping some passes lately, and if Corum can bring some of that explosive element to this offense, which they lacked last year, that is going to be key for this team. Because Sean McVay really talked about heading into camp how he and Mike LaFleur, the offensive coordinator, really want to rip the Band-Aid off the playbook this year with their new addition of Devontae Adams and Terrence Ferguson as well, to help bring some explosiveness to this offense. Comment down below what you think this means overall for the Rams offense, because I love the pick of Blake Corum in the 3rd round last year. I thought he was going to be a really nice 1-2 punch fit with Kyren, and I do think this year that is going to be the case. And now we have to move on to another breakout star of camp, who's even gotten the attention of Sean McVay, and that is 7th round rookie wide receiver Konota Mumpfield. And this story is also brought to us by Rams Wire. Let's get into that right now. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and Tutu Atwell are all going to be key playmakers for the Los Angeles Rams this season, but there's room for other wide receivers to contribute as well. One to watch is Konota Mumpfield, the 7th round rookie out of Pittsburgh. Yes, Mumpfield was someone who I was really high on when they picked him. A lot of draft analysts really liked him as a day 3 prospect, and a lot of them said he fell to the Rams at the time, and I kind of agreed with that. And Mumpfield has made a lot of nice plays here throughout OTAs, and now he's carried that over into training camp. So I'm not surprised he's catching the eye of Sean McVay at all. Mumpfield has turned heads in training camp and continues to receive positive remarks from his coaches and teammates. Sean McVay highlighted the young wideout in his press conference again on Saturday, mentioning how well he's performing in practice. We have that quote from Sean McVay coming up for you right now. "He's doing a great job," McVay said. "I think you're right. You see him making a lot of plays. He's a mature rookie. He's a guy that is wired to be able to separate. I think he's catching the football really well. He's really smart and conscientious. He's moving around, can do a lot of different things, but you're right. He's one of the guys that has really shined with some of those younger guys. He continues to be able to just answer the bell with the opportunities that he's gotten, and Stetson Bennett's done a nice job being able to get the football to him, but been really pleased with him. He's doing a heck of a job. Sean McVay." And yeah, that is a way to really compliment your rookie wide receiver, because again, with this preseason game coming up on Saturday, Mumpfield, I expect to be one of the really leading receivers of this preseason. He's going to, I think, be that wide receiver 1 for a lot of these preseason units, and he's going to get a lot of targets to try to make this roster. I believed he was going to make the roster when he was picked, and now I really believe it because he's turning heads at practice. And I think he has the Rams have a real chance to have 5 receivers. Only receivers, I'm not talking players in general, just receivers with over 400 receiving yards. Because I think he can get that. I think Whittington can get that. And that's not even considering Higbee and Ferguson at all. So, and obviously we know what the top 2 we're going to do, and Tutu as well, being a returning player, that this unit really has a chance to be one of the best in the league. And another thing from this quote that I want to pull out here as we pull that back up for you real quick is the Stetson Bennett part of this here at the end, where McVay says Stetson's done a great job of getting the football to Mumpfield, is that connection is key for the preseason, because again, we know Stafford, Garoppolo are going to be on the team. I wouldn't be shocked if Garoppolo gets some preseason reps on Saturday just to get him. It doesn't hurt for your backup to get reps, even though Garoppolo is an established veteran. But Bennett's going to be that guy who's going to really be able to show why Mumpfield and himself can make this roster. I feel like they're very tied together, and to see both of them having that connection is great. And hopefully when Stafford does eventually come back here, hopefully before we get too close to week 1 here, that he can build up that connection with Mumpfield going forward as well. Mumpfield has primarily been working with the second-team offense with Stetson Bennett as his quarterback, but if he keeps standing out in practice the way he has, it'll be tough to keep him off the field this season. Yeah, I agree. He's going to get a lot of reps as a special teamer, I believe, too, just to prove his worth, because that happens a lot for players. You remember Corey Littleton, one of my favorite Rams of all time. Like this video for Corey Littleton. Whenever Corey Littleton's mentioned in the video, you got to like it. And you have to subscribe, I heard, as well, and leave a comment. Got to do all 3. But he was a guy who made his way on special teams and turned into a defensive standout for the Rams. Ended up getting a nice contract from the Raiders. Had a nice career overall. And Mumpfield can be that kind of guy on the offensive side. You see him making some good blocks on special teams, really trying hard. He gets out there, and he's a guy who can really help out this offense with just his overall football IQ and savviness. And that's really what McVay and this Rams team have done such a good job on, is finding those guys with that high IQ. Like a Puka Nacua in the 5th round, Cooper Kupp in the 3rd round, bringing on OBJ in that Super Bowl year, and now Devontae Adams, just bringing on guys who know how to play the game, who really can help individualize themselves and round out the receiver room as a whole. He's a precise route runner who knows how to get open despite not being the biggest or fastest receiver. His skill set should be on display in the preseason when he gets a chance to go up against other cornerbacks and build on his chemistry with Bennett. Yeah, as I mentioned, they're going to be kind of hand in hand going in tandem this preseason. So I would not be shocked at all if both of those guys put on amazing preseasons and make this roster. And comment down below right now what you think of these 2 players' chances to make the roster. More so, Konota Mumpfield. I think Mumpfield's a roster lock. I thought he was from the moment we drafted him. I was very high on him, and he is really proving everyone right here in the Rams organization and myself right throughout this preseason process. And I can't wait to see what he does throughout this preseason, because we see some monster preseasons. Sometimes they lead to something, sometimes they don't. Kind of like the NBA Summer League. You never really know what that's going to lead to. Sometimes great performances lead to great players and great careers, and sometimes they're flashes in the pan. So we do need to see him do it in a regular season game before we get all crazy. The Rams do have Jordan Whittington and Xavier Smith also at receiver, who Mumpfield is competing with, but the future looks bright for the rookie. Yeah, I agree. Again, Xavier Smith, I think, is going to be a return guy more so than as a receiver. But technically, since he plays wide receiver, yes, they are competing. But who knows if Xavier Smith ends up making the roster if the Rams decide to go with Blake Corum as a returner. As we mentioned earlier, yeah, I do believe Mumpfield gets on over a guy like Mario Williams. I am high on Mario Williams. I think they should practice squad him. I don't see a way he makes the team anymore, sadly. But, again, I think Mumpfield is going to be slightly behind Whittington on the depth chart, but I think they're kind of similar players. They're players who can really do everything for you. And once the Rams do eventually lose Davante Adams, whether that's due to age, retirement, or if he just doesn't want to be here after 2 years, which I highly doubt, but we'll see how he's still playing at the end of this contract. But both of these guys, I think, have that potential to have long NFL careers, especially Mumpfield. Whittington as well, but Mumpfield, I think, has slightly more potential just because I think he has a wider route tree than Whittington does, and Mumpfield could be a guy that really competes for snaps with Whittington and Atwell if he keeps on putting on the way he has throughout this preseason. Comment that down below, because I really believe the Rams could have 3 different players vying to be wide receiver 3 right now on this team, with Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, and Konota Mumpfield. So comment that down below who you think wins that battle. I think Tutu does, just because of that $10 million contract. The Rams kind of have to give him a shot, but I wouldn't be shocked if Mumpfield really, really works his way up to getting some key playing time by the end of this season. And now we have to go on to some other stories from today's practice. We have a couple injury updates to get into before we end off this video. This is also brought to us by Rams Wire. We're going to get into that right now. And Matthew Stafford, it is official, won't take part in Monday's jog through. It's not surprising, but Sean McVay confirmed Matthew Stafford won't take part in the Rams jog through on Monday. McVay said he'll be doing his own workout and is able to do more, so he's encouraged by the progress Stafford's made. Well, there goes my title from yesterday. This is worse than we thought, because I talked about coach speak versus what's actually going on. Coach speak is where we don't really get a lot of context. We just get he's week to week. Whereas now we got some context here today that he is progressing, which is good, which gets my concern levels right back down to that 2-3 out of 10 level, where Stafford, it looks like he's on his way back. So this is good to see that this doesn't look like this is going to take up any regular season time, that he will be able to come back. But I do want to hear some more context about what this injury is, because I still believe this is more than back soreness for Matthew Stafford. However, it is good to see that he's able to do more. He's going to be at the joint practice. He'll be doing his own workouts. And let him rehab solo this next week, 2 weeks, and then let's get him back for those final couple weeks of the preseason workout process. So he'll be fully ready to go come the regular season. So this is a very, very positive sign. And Terrence Ferguson also was out for the second straight day today at practice. Ferguson has a groin injury that kept him out of practice on Saturday, and Sean McVay said the team is unsure how much longer he'll be sidelined. Now, this is something that's new, because Terrence Ferguson's groin injury, I mentioned it yesterday, was not a concern of mine, but now that we don't know how much longer he's going to be sidelined, it's definitely more than what we anticipated. I don't think this is anything too serious. He's not listed as week to week right now. He just doesn't have a timetable, so we will see just exactly how long he misses. But again, this could lead to him missing the first preseason game, which I think will be very important for him, not to make the team, but to see how he'll be able to split reps with Higbee early on in the season. Because as we get later and later into preseason, guys like Terrence Ferguson aren't going to play much, just because we know how much Sean McVay likes to do. Guys who are going to be key contributors aren't going to play as preseason goes on. Some of them not at all, like a Puka or Davante. But Terrence Ferguson is a rookie. I really hope he gets to play this first preseason game, because I think this is the most he'll play out of any preseason game, because I have really high hopes for him in this offense. And he's also a key part of the playbook with that 12 personnel that we've been talking about all offseason, that the Rams want to run more. If he can't go in the preseason, he's going to lack those sort of game-ish reps, more game reps than what a practice would be, even with pads, on running that 12 personnel. Because I won't be surprised if the backups do get practice running those 12 personnel group schemes throughout the preseason. And comment down below what you think about this injury. How concerned are you? I'm still not very concerned. If he does miss that first preseason game, I'll be concerned to see how he's used early in the season, but not so much for his health. I don't think this is a very serious injury at all. It's more so the lack of reps that would concern me. And that is it for this episode of Rams Digest. Thank you very much for watching as always. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 4K. We're less than 20 away. And click that notification bell. Click all so you get notified and do not miss any daily new Rams Digest content. Leave a like for this video for training camp ending, and now we officially start the real preseason workouts. And leave a like as well for Corey Littleton being mentioned. Whenever he's mentioned, you gotta leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below right now your thoughts on the Blake Corum situation. How do you think he's going to be used with the special teams unit and what this means for Xavier Smith and Britton Covey, as well as how you think these explosive runs will translate to the regular season, because I think they will translate very, very well. Comment down below your thoughts on Konota Mumpfield's situation and how much playing time can he really get as a 7th round rookie, because I think it's more than what a lot of people anticipated heading into this season. And comment down below your thoughts as well on the Terrence Ferguson injury. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh, as always. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Rams Digest. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon for another one, and have a great rest of your day.